Okay, welcome to our school board meeting, the HUUSD school board meeting for April 19th. My name is Ashley Woods. I'm the board chair, and we are kind of on this evening to get our board out. So I'm calling 604. Okay, how's that? Okay. The first piece of any meeting is public comment. So if you have signed and you would like to make public comment, please come up to this microphone. If you're online and you want to make a public comment, please raise your virtual hand.
Hello, my name is Tori Taravella and I am from Waterbury. I wanted to take the time to talk to you about my friend Pam Eaton, as I was not able to earlier. Pam was one of the first people to welcome me into the Vermont legal community when I moved here in 2019. At that time, she provided me with valuable advice and information as I was looking for a job and trying to decide what area I wanted to practice. She continued to keep in touch with me over the years, offering me advice on tricky cases, introducing introducing me to members of the bar, and just generally making sure I was happy with where I was in my profession. She has diligently served on the board of the Young Lawyers Division, and I know she would be an asset to this board as well. She is kind, a good listener, intelligent, and extremely motivated. She's also well connected within the Waterbury community in her own right, as well as through her mother, who served as Rotary president 2 years before me. I am honored to know Pam Eaton and would be happy to have her representing me on this board. Thanks.
Thank you, Tori. Do you see any public comment, people, Mike? Okay. So sorry. This year is a little different than last year, last year we had the exact same number of spaces as we had applicants. This year it's a little different. We have 3 applicants and 2 spaces for the Waterbury seats. So I have written out the instructions carefully so I can keep up with it. So the first round thing is we're going to interview each of you. Some of you we know, some of you we don't, and you'll come up and talk just similarly to your experience at the select board. Currently, we have 1 applicant, luckily, from Duxbury, Emily Doloff, we're going to nominate. We'll do her pieces last. But the Waterbury Select Board has recommended our former board members, Dan Rossioli and Elizabeth Brown, to come back. That was their recommendation. But the way it works is we're going to make 1 nomination at a time and we're going to vote on it. We'll start with one of the seats. I'll read them out. If you want to make a nomination for somebody, you need to raise your hand. And then we'll proceed with a discussion and then voting. So first things first, Dan or Elizabeth or Pam, would any of you like to start and be the first person to come up and address the board? Dan, get up here. Come on.
Okay, in the way of quick introductions, I know most of you, but I've been in Waterbury for 20 years. I have 4 kids from 9 to 19 in various stages of the school system, one at Brookside, one at Crossett Brook, and the 2 older ones have now left Harwood. I served last year in the school board, learned a ton, learned a lot that I had no information or no realization on how deep and complicated certain areas get. And so I enjoyed kind of delving into those, and Lisa was awesome working with me and helping me understand so many of the financial pieces of it. I think there's a lot of opportunity this year, now that we're sort of out of budget crisis, although there'll still be budget pressure. But I think we can start looking maybe a little bit long-term and more strategic than we were in the past year. So, my style, I like to ask questions. I don't come with all the answers, but however I can help, I'm glad to help out. So glad to take questions.
Any questions? Ellie?
You guys, I'm so sorry. What is one unique thing from your community that you feel like you can bring to the school board?
Interesting question. Okay, one piece that I think is different coming from the Waterbury side than the Valley side, just to compare the two, is that Waterbury and Duxbury went through a consolidation process a generation ago. And so I think it brings a slightly different perspective to a lot of the concerns that some of the towns will have about what may be hot topics in the next year or two, things like consolidation opportunities and that type of stuff. Does that answer your question?
Elizabeth?
Good to see you all. Thanks for having me back to speak with you. So I think you had circulated the letter that was submitted to everybody. Okay. So the reason why I hadn't run, obviously in January, I had let you know that I had taken another position. I was actually juggling two jobs at the time back in January, and kind of taking a look at that and trying to be a mom to two children who are in our school systems obviously was a lot. And so when I stepped down from that other position in early February, I had talked to some folks in our Waterbury area who were excited about potentially running for school board, who I thought would be a good fit. And so I did not run until I got to the ballot, and I realized we only had two people running again. And so having the capacity, and obviously I think that I bring the value of being that strategic planner. I think you guys have all heard me say that a number of times. So who I've served with, I wanted to come back because I think it's imperative for us right now. And I'm hearing that in our community. It certainly came up in the Waterbury Select Board meeting last Monday that we need a plan, and it's a best practice on the Vermont School Board Association website. And so I still think that with the very hard decisions we need to make, regardless of what is going on with the legislature right now, that we need to come together. It's been heartbreaking listening to, obviously, the emotions around the facilities, and having grown up in rural Massachusetts where I had 28 kids in my 8th grade class, I can appreciate small schools and I can understand what people are afraid of. And I think that going through a process of strategic planning will help us with some of that decision making, and also prepare us for whatever is coming down from the top down in terms of the hard decisions that we have coming at us. So I've lived in Waterbury for about 20 years. As I mentioned, I have two kids in our school systems here at Crossbrook and Harwood, and I welcome the opportunity to continue serving on this board. Appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're going to have a discussion, so I'm not sure how much we need the questions right now, but we're going to have discussion. Yeah, I know I like your quizzy vibes, but hang tough. Pam and then Emily.
Hello. This is Greenswith on, I think. I know some of your faces from around the Waterbury community, from soccer teams and things like that. Others, I'm seeing you for the first time tonight. So I'm Pam Eaton. I live in Waterbury. I'm an attorney in Burlington for work by trade, but I'm a mother of a second grader at Brookside Elementary School in Waterbury. I think this was in my letter of interest. It wasn't our first choice to go to the public schools in Waterbury. Initially, we sent our son Harley to Mountain River School. We were looking for something just a little different. It seemed that the schools had struggled a little bit during the pandemic, and I wasn't sure that they were going to be a great fit for my son. And then Mountain River School closed. So by default, we ended up in the Brookside community last year. And I think what surprised me the most was how welcoming and kind that community was, and how open the teachers were to hearing feedback. I had questions. There was someone to greet me and answer my questions. It's about every day you can see the principals outside wearing goofy hats, dancing to music, welcoming the kids to learn. And I think that it was surprising to me. And I think that when I started thinking about why I was surprised by it, I started thinking about what I've been reading in the news. And it felt like the community wasn't supporting our schools from the news perspective and from what I was reading. And I thought back to us not having the infrastructure pass when we asked for a bond to redo our schools. And at the time, I remember sitting in the meetings for that and hearing information that our school hadn't been updated since before we put a man on the moon. And that was shocking to me. I'm from a small town in Missouri where we had a new high school because we needed it, we built it, we funded it, and I went to a brand new high school. So to have a school here that we're sending our kids to that hadn't been updated since, the 1950s was shocking. And so I thought that the schools weren't being supported by the community. But now that I'm in the schools, I'm seeing that that's not the problem. The problem is that we're just not communicating well with the community. And so something I think I can bring to the school board through my work as a lawyer, one of the things I do is I listen and I communicate. It's a daily basis. I process information, I communicate it, I listen to other people. And I think that I can help this board to make sure that our messaging is getting across to the community for what we're trying to do. And I think what we're trying to do is educate a generation of students to come to live in Vermont, to take over our jobs and to be in our workforce and to continue to have our communities thrive and flourish. And so I think the work on this board is essential for that, and I would love to be a part of that. I don't know if I'm supposed to take questions now or go back to my seat. Okay, thank you.
Dan got a question. She got an Ellie original. Emily, could you join us at the mic, please? Emily is our potential rep from Duxbury, the one and only.
Hi, I'm Emily Dolliff. I live in Duxbury. I've always lived in Duxbury, always at the same address. I went to Duxbury Elementary School. So I have, history in town in the elementary school. I went here to Harwood. I have two daughters. My oldest went to Waitsfield Elementary and then graduated here at Harwood. My youngest went to Thatcherbrook and then Crossabrook, and then for various reasons, she went to middle school here at Harwood. So I feel like I also sort of have a unique experience that I've experienced how the education system works in 4 different schools versus just having, 2 schools and sort of seeing, there's wonderful things about each and every school. And also, a wonderful thing is that, my youngest was having some social issues at Crossett Brook, and being able to have the option here to be able to move her to middle school here where she has thrived socially, academically, but it's middle school. And, I think one of the reasons that I think I would be good here on the board is that I'm very passionate about, paying attention to things in our education system. I sort of discovered my passion last year when the school budget wasn't passing, and I was getting very upset and wound up, so to speak, about people being like, no, 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 don't pass it. And I was sitting there thinking, but are you reading the information? Because I feel like so many people just focus on one little detail about something and not the bigger picture. I had people coming to me asking me what my opinion was, people that lived in Duxbury but didn't have any kids. So they were looking for a perspective from, a parent as they were also struggling to try to figure out, what their view might be for the budget. I feel like I also have a personality that is one that can see both sides, to use the term both sides of the aisle. I feel like experienced that a little bit with Ashley and Dr. Mike earlier today with some communications, just trying to understand, both perspectives of things, I think is really important. And I feel like that is something that I'm very good at. Even if I don't agree with an opinion, understanding the reasoning behind it and the facts behind that are just as important as whether or not you're going to being agreeing with it. Because there's two sides to every story, to every opinion. And I think that's a very important thing and is very necessary when you're trying to navigate so many things in life, whether it is personal, whether it's business, whether it's the school board, whatever it is. I think that that is a skill set that I have that, I see a lot of people honestly not really having that. So that's my speech.
Yes, being a good listener is important here, without a doubt. Okay. So I'm going to say which of the jobs it is, and then we're going to seek a recommendation, and then we're going to discuss that a nomination, and then we're going to talk about that nomination. So for the open seat number 1 in Waterbury, which is the one with it's a 2-year unexpired. It's the one Dan was in before. That is the first seat. Do I have a nomination? JB.
Nominate Dan the Man Racioli.
Okay. Okay. Do we have some discussion about Dan the Man Osceoli?
Is his middle name the man? Is accepted.
Anyone have anything they would like to say in support of Dan?
I can probably speak to one thing, which is we passed a 2.75% tax, I believe, as a result of a collaboration that was our first ever unanimous collaboration board wide, and I believe that was brokered by Dan, which is, I think, the first time in history we had done that. So that, I think, speaks to the fact that Dan is able to sometimes see the way through some weeds that the rest of us kind of get ourselves caught in, which is kind of spectacular. So I think I'd like to point that out.
Well said, and I couldn't agree more. A few reasons. One, I have a shirt just like that is missing, so that's one of the reasons I want to keep you around. Two, you were actually the only school board member that attended our facilities committee's meetings, which I thought was great. And you also had sent me some really good questions during the whole process. So I just really appreciated your input, and I think you'd be a valuable member for the next couple of years.
I think it's very beneficial that stop that event. That Dan has kids who have experience right now who are in schools and kids who have gone through the school system and are out of the school system and at many different like periods of I don't know our journey so far. Thank you. And I don't know if this is, I also know Dan from the community and from my sister and he's a great leader and yes.
Okay. Did we get a second? I think we need a second. Okay, Rebecca seconds. All right, so we're going to vote on Dan for seat 1. It's a weighted vote. Obviously, it's not a full weight right now because we're not all here and assembled. So we have 8 board members. So Cindy, do you have your tally sheet up? Okay. Starting with Celia.
Yes.
And Cashel.
Yes.
And Ellie.
Yeah.
And Bobby is absent. JB. Cindy. Jonathan.
Yes.
Rob. Ben.
Yes.
Rebecca, Mike Bishop,
Yes.
Steve Rosenberg,
Yes.
it's over 50% though. So regardless of the zeros, that will pass. Welcome back, Dan. I have a binder for you. Now we're looking for the second Waterbury seat, which is a 1-year unexpired seat that I think Elizabeth was in before, but it might have been Corey. I'm not really sure. But anyway, it's a 1-year unexpired seat. It ends on town meeting day. Do I have a nomination?
Ashley, I've got my hand up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Pam Eaton, please.
Now we're going to vote on that nomination. Oh, yeah, discussion. Go ahead.
I don't know either of the candidates, but just listening to Pam, it really strikes me that she wants to do the communicating that we so desperately need, and that was so on the nose that just, I'm excited about that. So now you're on the, never mind.
I would agree with that too.
I just like to say that I see Pam around the school. Our kids have been on soccer together. She's very involved with the school and family and everything. So I agree that Pam should be nominated.
Jonathan, is your hand just up or you have a comment?
It was still up from before, but I agree with everything. I also like the fact that Tori is not, kind of pushing her, because I felt like having Tori with her legal expertise around was very helpful, and I can't imagine that would be less helpful with him too. So that's another good reason for me to nominate her.
Thank you. Mike Bishop.
Yeah, I was just wondering, did the town of Waterbury give an indication why she wasn't chosen? I was just curious. I know her law firm represents the town of Waterbury. It's been paid lots of money by the town of Waterbury, and I see she's down here with a select board member. Did they give any reason why they didn't appoint her originally or didn't recommend her?
He didn't get a nomination. There was a nomination. I'm sorry, she didn't get a vote at all. They didn't vote on her because they'd already passed 2 people to nominate. I mean, to recommend. So
Okay, so there was no reasons given by the select board on why they didn't choose her.
no, I don't think so. Not that I've been told or made aware of in any way.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion anymore? Okay, then we will vote on this nomination. Get your tally. Celia,
Yes.
Cashel,
Yes.
Yes.
JB,
Yes.
Cindy, Jonathan,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Rebecca, Mike Bishop,
No.
and Steve Rosenberg.
Yes.
You have to do your zeros, I think.
For some reason, Mike's percentage isn't showing up. Can you take a look at her spreadsheet? His no, it's showing 0%.
It's 5. It's 5 here.
Five.
That's weird.
That's his weighted
Oh, that's his
percentage, but it's
weighted.
not showing up. And isn't that far right column? What's that far right column? I can't see. Maybe it's the left that's.
It's his no answer here. Why isn't his percentage?
Sorry, it's the spreadsheet. Those are above me.
Me too.
I have to
But
look at all
that's
your
the-
forums.
Be a 5 there, right?
Yeah, I have to find out why all your formulas.
You don't have a 1 next to his name either.
Yeah, but it should come up over here.
Oh, that's right, it's a no.
Right, no. Mm-hmm.
So it's down, yeah.
Something's not right there.
Yeah, something's clicking here. That's okay.
Bobby needs to be zeroed out too.
Sorry, those in Zoom, we're having a tech problem.
I'm trying not to be insulted that nobody understands my legal expertise as well, just because I'm not a practicing attorney. Just want to get that out there.
I too would like to point out that I am not a practicing attorney at this time.
Percent, that's not a problem, but I gotta figure out what's wrong with your formula.
I'm also a damn good non-practicing attorney.
Yeah, I gotta just figure out what's wrong with your formula. Yeah, okay. Not sure why.
It's every day. I just don't get anywhere.
Covering attorney.
Yeah, because he's 0 for that, so we'll figure out what the formula is. Mhm. Go ahead. Yeah, it is.
That's this is
This is the yeses. Yeah, that's 5. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. We've got it. I gotta look at her percentages. Okay, who hasn't voted yet?
They should be counting in the formula.
So they're not being counted in the formula.
Very top.
5168. So who's not here? And you're counted here because you have to. So right now your count, your vote is right. Right now you're at 50. Right. Well, because you don't have enough. Right. You don't have. Correct. Right now, without your vote, you're at 46.65%. Because you're taking it based on the percentages.
Oh, and
Bobby's not here. Corey's not here.
Can I just throw something out, which is to say that while we're figuring all this out behind the scenes, that we would have the numbers, right? Do we not?
they should be, but the 2 should be out of the equation.
They are.
So just, I mean, I hate to throw this out there, but Ashley, do you want to just throw your vote one way or the other so we know?
So an
And
apple.
vote if I think I need to vote,
Which one are you on?
if I want. We're having a wonky math problem.
Well, I'm not used to apples. That's
It's
the
over,
the
it's
problem
over
is
50 on the
apples.
left, but it's 46 in the count.
Yeah, so
But I haven't voted in my numbers.
right, but does this formula adjust? Let me look
Yeah,
at yours.
we're going to do that.
Hold on one second.
The 56% is the 100%
Well,
right
because you-
now.
Right, because
right.
you take out everybody's,
Right.
all the zeros are out, or those that are not here for their percentage.
Yeah. All right. Well, in the interest of moving this meeting along, I'm also going to vote for Pam. Put me down for a 1. I feel that that legal presence is also important. Hits a lot of marks with me.
I know. Hold on, I'm not used to your Apple computer.
There we go.
So right now, without those voting members, you have 58.85%, and you're at 58.85%.
Good one.
This, the weight carries. This needs to be, we have to adjust this formulas. But you're at 53.85
now.
Yep.
Okay. With 53.8%, that will pass. Pam, welcome to the board. Elizabeth, thank you for running again. We appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to vote on Emily Doloff now, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, see, 65, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't at the bottom adjust the calculation?
No, well, that's not how the formula's set up. I need to change the formula, but right
Okay.
now with all those other zeros.
The last port of business is for someone to make a nomination for the Duxbury seat. Do we have a nomination?
Make that nomination.
Ben makes the nomination. JB seconds. All right, we're going to do a roll call vote because that's what we do. Celia.
Yes.
Cashel. Yes. Ellie.
Yes.
JB.
Really like that.
Cindy. Jonathan. Jonathan.
Sorry, yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Ben.
Yes.
I can't see it now, so I'm lost. Becca. And Steve.
Yes.
And Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Okay, Mike
Yes.
is-
Now,
Okay. Of the seated board, that is unanimous. Oh, hi, Bobby. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I got hung up with a medical appointment. Anyway, I'm here.
Asking you to vote yes or no on our Duxbury, new Duxbury rep, Emily Doloff.
I'm definitely voting yes, and I'm so sorry I can't be there to meet everyone.
No worries. It's okay. We're good. Okay, that is unanimous. Emily, welcome to the school board. She voted yes.
okay. So what you do is when you wipe this out, it'll bring that 100% down. When you zero people out that are not here, it'll bring this down. And so this is the percentage you're working off of, because this is what you have present at 58.5. This is correct. Yep. Yep. So you
There you-
zeroed everybody out.
there-
That's
there
correct.
you
You
say
have
it.
65.
And just ask questions.
And
they
the
just
vote
can't vote.
passed at 51.
Just sit and listen, and we're
You
just going
can
to do a
you
little
can
bit
do
of
that,
stuff.
but that's why you're not
Um,
100. Yep. If
I
you
didn't
zero them out, this is the percentage you're working with. No, without, you had to. So what happens is you want to make sure these two add up to this. So now when you do this, this is 58.85%. And that's the percentage you're working off of. When you-
Okay, I did make a critical error because I am prone to doing that sometimes, and I did not look for a motion to approve the agenda. So can I have, oh, actually, we're going to amend the agenda a little bit. So can I have a motion to amend the agenda?
Motion to amend the agenda?
From Steve. The amendment is this. You want to, it's Steve's amendment. So we're going to, turn that off for a second. Let me just say it. We're amending the agenda to add Rebecca to the Public Outreach Committee and to add a non-voting member, Shannon Dunphy. Know her. She's been at some of our meetings. She's somebody who knows a lot about outreach, a lot like Asher Berg, who is another person who's kind of working with the board. We'll all get to know them better. They're going to set their first meeting. So the amendment is to add Rebecca and Shannon to the board, to the committee, sorry, and a date. Oh, and Bobby. I thought we already did. Bobby's already on there, I thought. Yeah, we put Bobby on. Bobby, Asher, and you to start. Yeah, Bobby's already on there. Okay, so can I have a motion to make that amendment? We've done that. You're making it. Okay. You're seconding it.
Here, you want to
Amend the agenda.
amend the agenda. Agenda to,
Add Rebecca Baruzzi.
I'm just gonna say add member, Rebecca. Yeah,
And
what's Rebecca's last name?
Baruzzi.
Yeah, okay.
And she's a board member, but then, and Shannon Dunphy Ball. Dunphy, Dunfey hyphen Ball, as a non-voting member. Go back, bad ball back in.
BALL?
Yep.
Voting, I see that, thank you, voting. Let me fix this blue.
Dan, it's like you never left. Yep. JB's gonna try to steal it off you.
Is he still trying to be the league person? There, is that it now? Amend the agenda
perfect.
to add Rebecca
To
Baruzzi
public outreach.
to public outreach, that's important.
Committee.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any opposition to that amendment? Do we have any abstentions or no votes to that? Not seeing any or hearing any of that. The amended agenda. Okay, now, that's right. Now we're going to pass the agenda. Can I get a
Right.
motion to pass the agenda?
Right.
Forgot that. No. Do we have a motion JB makes a motion to accept the agenda with the amendment. Steve seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on with this agenda. Sorry about that. I was a little rattled by all the new things. Before we get going, I just wanted to mention we had a sad loss at Brookside School today. Steve Willis, who is a paraeducator there for a very long time, and at Harwood, and is known throughout the district for his infinite patience, passed away last night in his sleep at home. So it's very sad, and we're just really want to send our feelings out to his family and to everyone at Brookside who I'm sure is missing him. Am I right, Mandy? It's pretty sad. Yeah, he was my neighbor. I've known him. So I just wanted to mention it because, we have a pretty small community and it's a bummer. It's really sad. Okay. Okay. So we've done the first piece of this. Now we're going to hear from the students. We're back. Yep.
But let me just tell you guys, vacation is less than 3 days away. It's 2 days away, actually. Less than less than 3 days away. Yep. And the whole school is feeling it. The energy is at an all-time low. Um, no, like I'm serious. Like vacation is coming up. But we got some sports highlights going on. All spring sports are started full swing. Our girls lacrosse had their first game yesterday. Yep. I think they won. They lost. In our hearts, they won. Boys lacrosse had a game at 1 today and won today. Wait, yesterday. Boys lacrosse also had a game and won yesterday. 12-0. Yeah, that's an old-fashioned thrashing. We also, our track and field team is having our second meet tomorrow at VHS. It's going to be really competitive, you guys. 9 schools are going. We are among the best D1 schools in the state right now.
Wow.
No, no, like tomorrow. We're competing against definitely not. We're competing against the best D1 schools tomorrow. And it's gonna be great. Yes, Cashel. We're in D2, Cashel. No one knows. It depends for each sport, like I think track and field for D2, we're not very high. Middle area. Yeah, but our soccer teams, you know where they lie. They're pretty much so like we're pretty chill. Um Tennis is coming along great. Tennis, my sister's in tennis. Yesterday they had a match. Guys, they beat all 7 games, 7-0. They clinched all 7 games. Even the unranked ones clinched them. Yes, tennis is on fire. Tennis is on fire, you guys. What? Baseball and softball have also started. They are practicing, getting in shape. They haven't had any games yet, probably because it's have you seen outside right now? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's like winter right now. Okay, now to Celia or Cashel, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I'm giving an update on all of the trips that are going on right now. So the Denmark trip, they left last Monday and they're flying back today, which it seemed really awesome. They stayed with host families, everything. Grady is on that trip, the other school board rep. The French trip going to Normandy, staying with host families there, and then going to Paris, left yesterday morning. And then the Spain trip going to Barcelona and Madrid is leaving tomorrow.
Wow. Wow.
So I'll give a little prom update and also the applications for being a new board rep. I'm kind of doing that because Grady's in Europe. So prom, we're planning it. My junior class council that I'm president of is trying to get that going. We have little committees and we're working things out. It's going to be at Stowe. I think we've said this already.
Hmm.
You're among them.
Oh yeah, the theme is Great Gatsby. They picked that one. I think it'll be. I don't know what that'll look like, but I think we'll try to get like masks there.
No.
Sorry, this is my
Chaperones?
section. Yeah, chaperones. Actually, I'll email you. No, email me.
Okay. He's a busy man. Just email him. Poppy let me be a chaperone. She wouldn't even let me like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna get my people with your people. We'll get back.
Great. Yeah. Grady helps out. Spirit challenge for our next assembly. We were driving around in the hall with tricycles today because we're gonna do a little tricycle race. We need 4. We only have 2.
Oh,
For tricycles.
So
no tricycles.
tricycles, let me know.
Don't have any.
Yep. And for the applications for a new board rep, we have 2 currently. I got a little ahead of myself and made the deadline today, but
Oh.
we're back. So hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get some more choice.
Some good people, something good. They're enthusiastic.
Yeah, we'll see. We're looking forward to the interviews, and then we'll come back with.
Okay.
I can tell them I'm joking around.
Exactly. We do that here.
I think that's it.
Questions?
Hey, Cashel, how big of a tricycles do you need? Like, I have a 5-year-old kid tricycles. but-
I mean, we'll take what we can get, honestly, because there's one of our 2 like didn't even move until we extremely lubricated it, and then the other one you can't even get your feet down and you just have to scoot. So
You just scoot it.
it basically at least one wheel.
Let me see, I'll talk. I have, all these grandchildren
Okay, great,
by tricycle, so
great.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your work on getting us some future applicants when our senior girls go away. The sassiest senior girl I think we've ever had that I've been on this board. We're going to miss you. No, you. Dan has a question.
Turn the favor. Between Spain, France, Rwanda, Denmark, India, what percentage of our students get a chance to go abroad at some point?
Great question, Dan. Thank you. Basically, I mean, the Spain and France trips are reserved specifically for kids who take Spanish and French. So that's definitely for those kids. Whereas India, Rwanda are 2 trips that anyone can apply sophomore through senior year. So I mean, that's to anyone. Financially, these trips do have to be paid for. There are scholarship opportunities. There's like our school does some funding and scholarship. But I feel like for at least India and Rwanda, it's for anyone who wants to apply. Denmark is also specifically for a class. Are there any other trips?
For the percentage, I would say I know like 45 students in our grade out of like 120 who have gone on one of these trips. So yeah, whatever that is.
Or more important, do you know many kids who have not been able to go because trips were filled or there weren't trips available?
I have never, at least for my 2 years that I went, there weren't any kids who were unable to go because of like the trips being too full. Most reasons that I've heard that people decide not to go are sports related. So a lot of the trips happen during some really like some during playoffs to be specific. And there are a lot of people who decide to, go if your team's going to playoffs. I mean, they want to play. So they decide not to go on trips.
Also have membership from the student body to be on this board. Are there any requirements? Like, can it be a sophomore? Does it have to be a junior and a senior? Can it be somebody from a HCLC? Can it be somebody from the tech school?
Gone through this process last year, so she could probably add on, but you have to be a rising junior. This is reserved for juniors and seniors, and you have to. You can talk about the HCLC stuff.
I don't know actually specifics on like the technical school and HCLC. There was actually a student last year who applied who was from HCLC. They just, I mean, didn't like make it to an interview and like they didn't end up being chosen. But I mean, they applied and that went through and everything and that process kept going. I mean, I'm gonna say most likely since they're still part of the district and they still, do whatever. I mean, participate. but we haven't. I my the past two seniors with me, Dylan and Naomi, they didn't have anyone apply from HCLC or the tech school either. So I don't think it's very common for those students apply just since we have such a big student body here.
What are the requirements? Is it like a certain GPA besides rising?
No,
juniors
there
and
is no
stuff?
GPA requirement. Basically, what happens is there are 2 seats reserved for juniors and 2 seats reserved for seniors. And the rising seniors pick the incoming juniors. So what happens and what Cashel did and what I did last year is we sent out a form to all the rising juniors because that's the 2 seats we need to fill. And we select our own questions. Like Cashel selected his own questions and I had done my own questions. Of basically like, what do you want to know about these students? And then once you get that, you pull them into an interview about like kind of related to the same questions, just verbal. It's verbal. And Meg, our principal, sat down with me and interviewed the kids. Sometimes Dr. Mike gets involved. I don't know. Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. Not much last year. I don't remember that much. But you know, there's definitely like a process and the there people are chosen. But to be honest, last year I got 5 applicants and I had to pick 3. So it was like we don't get many applicants at all. And that's something that at least we're hoping more people will apply. But I've heard a lot of talk about people applying. We haven't seen many people apply yet. So
I think we would be open to having an HCLC student or a career center student on this group for sure. I mean, why not more broaden the rep? We love that, especially, I mean, the career center, has its own board, so there could be opportunities there as well. But here at our table, certainly, and HCLC is right over there. So I would promote if there was someone interested, maybe float it to them if you can, if you haven't yet. Take a minute. You only have 2 applicants. See if anybody over there is interested. I would be interested to know if they were. Okay. Any other? Oh, I see Bobby's hand up. Go ahead, Bobby.
Now I'm trying to think of what I was. Well, I think I like that idea, opening it up and trying to recruit more people. 5 applicants isn't too terrible. Because there are lots of things that kids are doing. So if you get 5 serious applicants, that would be great. But I just wondered if you would want school board members to be present. At one point, that was something that was done, that we were invited, and not that we could all make it. But if I knew the date that you're interviewing and can make it, I'd like to be part of that.
We can talk about that. It's kind of a process so far that the students and the admin work together on it and deliver us our reps so that it's not really influenced by us, I think is part of it. But, we can certainly talk about that. Can do that. So maybe we could do that, Bobby. So when we get to interviews.
I'm just thinking if I was a sophomore and then I walk into a room and it's the principal and a board member and someone all staring at me.
You're like, oh, yay.
But I don't know. You can see how they do under pressure.
Yeah, exactly. How are you going to do under pressure? Because there's so much pressure at this table. Okay.
no, but Bobby, what we are trying to do this year, which of course Cashel's trying to do this year, is we're trying to get due to we tried to make the deadline. He tried to make the deadline today.
Yeah.
We're extending it, but what we're hoping is that these new potential board reps, come to at least 2 meetings or view a meeting and then sit at a meeting before the school year ends. So they do get some meet you guys and do get some experience in before next year. So we are hoping that so you don't just show up and there are just 2 random kids next year.
Yeah, nobody random. So why don't we talk about that when you figure out your next process? We can involve Bobby and we can connect over that. Okay. All right. Anything else from you kids? You kids? Any questions for the kids? She's muted. Okay. All right. Our leadership report was self-explanatory. It was simply about the process for this evening, more or less. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mike.
I include report. Happy to take questions on that and anything else, but just a couple of things I wanted to comment on. I did put in my last message newsletter to the community and to our families that we're looking at Wednesday, June 18th is our last day. Moortown had 2 days they were not able to be in school when the rest of the district was in session at the beginning of the school year due to the flooding. The building wasn't ready. And Cross and Brook had their days last month. So I did apply to the state, to the Secretary of Education for an exception for those 2 incidents, but the rest, they would complete their 175-day requirement. I did want to point out some information that we've been updating school websites and bringing them up to date, but please take a look if you have not at our district website page. There's a great picture. Ellie talked about Anything Goes. There's a great picture on the homepage now of Anything Goes. Oh, you didn't see that yet. Cindy, can you pull up a web browser? Just type in HUUSD.org. And it's thanks to our wonderful photographer who works with the Waterbury Roundabout, who shared them with. It was not intentional, Ellie. And then you have to share. Yes.
Here.
It was Star Near Professional.
There we go. There it is. Isn't that a great picture? Not in that scene.
Terrific.
But that was taken by Gordon Miller, who does a great job taking pictures. And the last thing I had on there is we have our former board members, Tori and Danielle, did a wonderful job of helping to update all of our policies. And there are a couple of updates from the School Board Association. So we will bring those to the full board here in the near future. So happy to take any other questions.
So now that this H-454 has passed, and do you have any sense of what the Senate's going to do to it?
No idea other than that I'm sure we'll see if they pass it and there's significant changes, then they'd have to have a conference committee to kind of reconcile, go to the governor. So I think we're in for a very long May, June. So just that had any sense of what that's going to look like. Cashel and I still have a charge. The way that the House wrote 454, the group that would draw up the new districts and propose up to three options to the legislature would be the commission, non-voting subcommittee. But we are moving ahead. We formed new committees that we started to work at our last meeting. Our last meeting was held at South Burlington. We're still and to that piece, I was appointed to the school governance committee. So we're working, Representative Conlon's on that group, myself, two other commission members. So we'll still be kind of diving into our work and developing a report. If you read 454, we asked for some revisions to the charge. The charge was really just too global before. So we'll continue to meet through next December.
You would like to suggest a policy? Is that an agenda item, or how would we go about that? And in particular, I'm thinking about maybe a policy on how to address AI in education.
Good question. That is an agenda item. So yeah, we can, once you're sworn in, send us an email and we'll work that in. Bear in mind that we have 3 weeks off. We have vacation and then we meet on the 14th, the 28th, and then I believe it's one more, and then we have a retreat. So we were talking today that we don't actually have a plan for the retreat. If everyone remembers last year, we were really in high budget mode by then. We were all and all we were talking about was money, and it was really stressful. So we're looking for some input on what people want to talk about and what do we want to learn about and what would be a good use of our time for that retreat. So if anybody has feelings about that, please email us, Cashel.
What did that look like last year? Like, did we go somewhere?
Go to the Mad River Barn and we gather at 5:30 and we have dinner and we chat and we kind of get to know each other because there's new people generally. And then we kind of, it's the charge is for the board leadership to sort of lay it out, but this board is such a unit that I feel like I'm more curious now that we're not in that flurry about budget, can we slow it down and talk about AI, or can we talk about other things that we know are going to affect us? So it's actually a kind of a cool event. And if we are prepared, we could really, I think, use the time well. So have that in your thought process. We're looking for input.
I think when Ashley and I were talking about, we were saying that the purpose for the retreat is in fact for the board to develop kind of their plan for what they're going to focus on in the coming year, and perhaps now there's no rule about that. That's just the ones that I've been to for 5 years. That's one of the things we were kind of looking at. Is there an area that we would really like to plan so that we direct some of our work through the year to try and address that? And obviously last year, might not have been specific, but we were talking finance and budget for sure. And I guess we could do that again, but whatever. But whatever, we do a lot more than just finance and budget on this board. And if you can think about some of the things, new things in education, new things coming up in education, AI being one of those new things, essentially. We also are developing our schools to how they operate with no cell phones, with the way we're managing technology in education, using technology in classes, but maybe not as a social event, whatever. That's the kind of thing, if you just open our brains a little bit and think about what you'd be interested in. Ashley and I would really like to hear from you guys. Yeah, Emily.
Just one comment. Strategic planning has come up. The idea of having a 3 to 5 year plan that could also be thought of for that event. We could be talking about that as future work. Emily?
How long is the time slot for this? Because is this like a 2-hour or an 8-hour? Okay.
I think we have dessert around 8:30. It's very casual. We don't actually it's great, but it's not super intense. It's really no minutes. It's actually not public. I think we video it. Sorry, it is public, but we don't have an agenda. It's very it's just a retreat. So it's a little different, but so it's 5:30 to 8:30, 9-ish. Questions for Dr. Mike? No. Okay. So we have 2 action items now because we've added the piece about adding Rebecca and Shannon. That's now, we've got to vote on that. But we also want to set a date for the board orientation for our newest members. I'm not sure if Dan's are you thinking you're going to attend? Maybe. Okay. Yeah. So we've got Rob and Emily and Pam. We need, and Rebecca, sorry. And Rebecca, my bad. She's not a lawyer, but she still wants in on that orientation. Okay, so we need a date that's in common for all of you that works for me and Cindy and Mike, basically, and Lisa, because we all kind of participate in that. Right. Yeah, let me introduce. This is Mandy Couturier. She is the MTSS, Multi-Tiered Support Systems Director for our district, and she does a lot of that sort of helping you to understand. And we're missing a few people, but you'll meet them. And that's Lisa Essler, our CFO. She's the money. The money. Okay.
Do they have to come to the retreat as well? Because I think we should make them.
We are making them. They're
Yes.
coming.
Good.
Everyone has to
Good.
come. It's really
Good.
fun. Yes, and it's actually really yummy food. They do a nice job. I have felt they did a really nice job with the food. Yeah. So so setting that board that time, do we have a common night off? Does anyone have booked nights? Not our school board Wednesdays, because we don't have a meeting for the next 3 weeks. So we could push this out to the beginning of May. Yes, this is just the orientation for these 4 new board members. Tuesdays are bad for you? Okay, Tuesdays are bad for Rob. What about Mondays? Monday night? Okay, Mondays, potentially a Monday night. Okay. We're definitely going to send out reminders, and we will do it in Zoom so you can just sit at home for information very often. This is so retreat versus the orientation. Yeah, the orientation is basically we will answer your questions and we will tell you basically about our process. And there's materials from the Vermont School Board Association. There's a lot of stuff. And we'll kind of review everybody's job and how we go about things. Because there are some specific, like the way we interact with these teenagers is very specific. It's done through the school. There's layers of the system. So we're going to help get you started on that, but that may not be enough. If you have questions, you can ask your fellow board members. You can ask us. You can ask Dr. Mike. There's plenty of places to get the information. Don't think any question is dumb, because it is not. Monday, May 12th. That sounds good to me. How do people feel about Monday, May 12th? Perhaps at like 6:30? Okay. I think we're going to 12. Rebecca, Rob. Yep. Okay. Becca and Rob and Pam. And how about you, Emily? Does that potentially work for you? Okay. The date is now set for 6:30 in Zoom, May 12th, for new board member orientation. Dr. Mike will send out a link, and then you just join through that in regular Zoom world. 6:30. Yeah. You have to do everything I do. Remember, that was the deal. Okay. Steve, would you like to read Cindy's motion? Because the next thing, you're going to bring up the motion to add Rebecca, and you have to share it on screen, share it, and then we're going to vote, or we'll just vote. You can do it. Okay. Wow, like a pro. Okay, that's the first one. Now we need the second one. Yeah, we've do we have a motion to accept the meeting for the orientation?
I so motion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, that motion, that will carry. So last is the and then your next tally sheet is the one that says the thing about adding. Yep, that just passed. The one about correct. We didn't, we just wrote it. Okay, Steve, do you want to make this motion since it's for your committee?
I appreciated somebody else who can read it.
Okay.
Make the motion.
Now it's gone, I can't see. Can you back it down? There it is. Go ahead, JD.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to add Rebecca Baruzzi and Shannon Dunphy Ball as a non-voting member on the Public Outreach Committee.
Now we're making a motion to add them. We're not doing it, amending the agenda. That was the first motion. Just pull out amend agenda and just start and we'll. Go ahead.
So we just nominated somebody to the board who's got all sorts of value to add in community outreach. Is that just a conversation we have later?
It is.
Okay.
Be patient. Thank you. That's all it is. Yeah. She wants you. You can tell. She's like, come on. No, we're working. There are other people have interest in other committees. We're just going to ramp up gently because we have a 3-week break right now. That's what's going to happen. We have a week off for vacation and then we have 2 weeks before our next meeting. That's why we have these double meetings because of the appointment process. It got a little weird. But when we come back, we'll be sort of beginning our work again in theory. So that would be a time we could talk about that. Okay. JB, read that motion, please.
Make a motion to add Rebecca Baruzzi and Shannon Dunphy Ball as a non-voting member to the Public Outreach Committee.
Do I have a second? Rob seconds. Do all those in favor say aye? Aye. Do we have any no votes or abstentions? Not seeing any or hearing any, that will pass. And just for clarity, guys, this public outreach committee is, as I'm sure you have noticed from watching our meetings, a very important piece of what we are doing, and we need to get better and better at that. And Steve's been doing a great job, and we are adding people to create the non-voting members we're talking about, Shannon Dunphy Ball and Asher Berg, who are members of the community. They won't vote at this table. Committees don't vote on anything. They bring information back to the board, but they have expertise that is going to help us accomplish these goals. And the goal is to keep people really well informed and keep getting feedback and keep hearing from people. So stay tuned. Okay. The last part of our agenda is the consent agenda. This is a piece where we lump together things that's just doing school business. We're going to approve the minutes from the 4/9 meeting. We're going to approve the warrant from the 4/9 meeting, which was $512,936.97. And we're also going to approve the Harwood Union High School trip to India in November of 2025. Do I have a motion to pass the consent agenda? Rebecca makes the motion. Do I have a second? Second, honorary second from my buddy Ellie. Second from JB. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any no votes or abstentions? Mike Bishop?
Was there a discussion on this? I didn't hear you say discussion.
Some? Go for it. Discussion on the trip?
Yeah, I'm just concerned about that trip. Is someone watching the world and is going to report back if they're not going? Should we put something in there? Is it too soon to be approving this? I guess I'd ask Dr. Mike this question.
The board guidelines are for the board, a trip like this international to be approved the year before. So just our regular protocol, the high school principal, myself, and the sponsor touched base about the safety of it at the time. If you remember this year, we were supposed to go to Rwanda, and we met as a team back in September and made the decision to cancel that because of concerns with illness. So we do monitor that. We have procedures in place, and we will do the same with this as we would with any other trip.
Thanks.
Got a motion. We have a second. Do we have any abstentions or no votes? None. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. That also will pass. Okay, the very last motion is, would someone like to make a motion? Yeah. Yeah? Rebecca makes a motion to adjourn. I know it's early. You're welcome. Nay, he wants to stay here all night. All right, motion to adjourn has a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, new board members. We really appreciate you.